We are standing in front of the next COP meeting, the meeting in the UN framework, the COP28, and in the COP28 there's a full package to discuss about climate financing, and I think you have heard about loss and damages. That is one of the key elements to be talked about, discussed about, negotiated about. Actually, it did not succeed last year. But there is also a climate adaptation program, and there's a green energy program related to the COP agreements. And with the climate adaptation, I have learned that only less than a tenth of the amount measured in billions of US dollars are actually sponsored every year to support exactly the ordinary population to deal with climate adaptation. So it is, and even it seems even that the tendency is falling, that instead of increasing the support to climate adaptation on global level from the global north to the global south, it is unfortunately reduced. So the floor is yours, Clement. Welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Paul. And good evening to everyone on the webinar. I must also thank those from Ghana who have joined us. Initially, they were asking, what language is that? And I told them to hold on, they will get the English version. So like you said, the video has said almost everything. We showed almost everything. So I won't belabor the points. I will just hand over to Abdallah, who has a presentation, a brief presentation, and will be able to kind of reinforce some of the things that we have shown in the video. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Clement. Good evening to everyone. Yeah, so I'll start by sharing my screen. Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Abdallah Mohammed, the technical advisor in charge of food security and climate change. And as we have seen in the documentary, in fact, it has highlighted almost everything that needs to be showcased when it comes to climate change and its impact on the livelihood of smallholder farmers in northern Ghana. But after having realized this for so long in working with vulnerable communities as a program and also as an organization, we have started doing something on it. And basically, that is what I'll be sharing with everyone on this platform in order for us to know what interventions that CLIP and also the Empowerment for Life program being supported by Ghana Friends and also CISO is doing as far as climate change impacts in northern Ghana is concerned.
Excuse me, Abdallah, you can have a slide presentation like you are used to do. So here in Zoom, go down and ask for a full screen slide presentation.
Okay.
And go down there, the usual small, yes, please. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so by way of an introduction or a background, and this is also to just further highlight what we have seen in the documentary. Climate change vulnerability in Ghana is greatest, especially for those who are already experiencing high poverty. And they have limited access to alternative livelihoods, and they are strongly dependent on natural resources. And again, they have the lowest capacity to cope with these challenges or these changes. And talking about this category of group, of course, women and also gender disparity as far as climate impact is concerned is very much highlighted. And again, also smallholder farmers, because they produce mainly to feed the family on a peasant basis. So climate change manifests itself in so many ways. One way is that it comes in the form of flood, it comes in the form of drought. But one thing that is very common with these smallholder farmers are that they are the group that are at risk, and they make up the majority of farmers in northern Ghana. So the farmers, through interaction with them, indicated that there have been extreme weather events that they are experiencing at their community level, that is in terms of increased temperature, erratic rainfall pattern, drought, also pests and diseases. And all this is affecting their livelihood. And its impact, in fact, is being manifested in low yield that they get from their crops that they cultivate at the end of the day. And also, due to climate change impact and extreme events, there are issues of bushfires, flood, impacts on the livelihoods of the smallholder farmers, among others. So as we can see in the pictures, one way that climate change is actually impacting on the level of smallholder farmers have to do with flood. This flood comes in, they destroy or collapse homes and also destroy crops, such as maize, groundnut, also rice, among others. And also due to increased temperature and drought that are associated with the changing weather event, there are also frequent bushfires, and these bushfires also destroy the vegetation and also food crops that smallholder farmers at the end of the day are able to produce. So all these extreme events manifest their impact in reduced crop yield and also high mortality in livestock. So as we can see in this picture, that is the effect of drought. A cultivated maize, let's say for about 10 or 5 acres, and due to climate extreme event such as drought, it comes to destroy everything. At the end of the day, they are not able to get even a single grain from this cultivated land. So this leads to more poverty rates in northern Ghana, among others. Yeah. So in order to subvert all these challenges that are confronting smallholder farmers in northern Ghana, and also as we have seen in the documentary, the Empowerment for Life program through CLIP conducted a vulnerability assessment. And this vulnerability assessment is to look at the ways that climate change is impacting negatively on the livelihood of smallholder farmers, and then look at what existing strengths are there in the community in terms of resources that can easily be leveraged on to improve the livelihood of these smallholder farmers. That is by carrying out interventions that is geared toward building the adaptive capacity of these smallholder farmers so that they can have a reduced vulnerability and also enhancing their resilience to climate change impact. So when the vulnerability assessment was done, a number of climate resilience strategies were identified. So my presentation also goes further to look at some of the key climate resilience strategies that were being piloted and worked with the smallholder farmers at the community level. One of such climate resilience strategy was cage fish farming. So this cage fish farming were done and also applicable in communities that are having access to perennial dams and also surface water resources like river, streams that are perennial. That means they are available for use throughout the year without it drying up. So one of such community we have done this is in the Sababa district. The name of the community is the Sanguli community, where we have a farmer association there. And when we interacted with them, they indicated that in northern Ghana, we only have one season. And during that season, that is when they are very active in tilling the soil. But because of climate change, extreme events, at the end of the day, they are not able to get anything from their production. So therefore, they need an alternative livelihood option that they could invest their time and resources in order to improve their livelihoods. So they assess themselves and saw that they have a perennial water source, which was a river, that they could establish a cage fish farming. So the Empowerment for Life program supported them with a 3 by 3 by 2 meter cage, and also with some inputs like fingerlings and also feed that they use to stock the cage and subsequently feed the fingerlings for a period of 6 months. And at the end of the day, they were able to do some harvesting. So these are pictures of how the beneficial communities were involved in installing the cage fish in various rivers and also dams in the community. So the first picture, after the cage is fixed, both women and also men supported in carrying the cage to the water body. And after carrying the cage to the water body, the next thing is to fix the various nets that will enable the production of the tilapia or the fingerlings in the cage. And the picture to the extreme right is the stocking of the fingerling. So we can see the fingerling in the rubber. So that is what is going to be used to stock the cage. So after a period of 5 to 6 months, the fingerlings were matured into tilapia, and then they were then harvested and then sold out. And also part of these fish were also used to increase the nutrition of the households at the community level. So as we can see in the pictures, the first one, that is at the time of harvesting, all the nets will have to be removed again so that the fish is harvested. Right, that is one farmer with a scooper net with tilapia fish inside the net. So these are some of the end products of the cage fish. So we can see various fish being harvested in different places. And we can see in the last picture also farmers cashing out, selling fingerlings or selling fish to suppliers and also to other consumers at the community level in order to make cash that will support their household needs, like paying for medical bills and also supporting their world in going to school and so on and so forth. So after having done this, we learned some few lessons, which is also worth sharing. One thing is that in terms of stocking the fingerlings, usually they come in different sizes. We have the fingerlings itself and also what we call juvenile. And usually we acquire the fingerlings from research institutions, those who are breeding the fingerlings. So usually if the travel time is more than 3 hours, then it is advisable that you go in for fingerlings rather than juvenile fish in order to reduce mortality. And also stocking from experience should be done after the first rains, by which dirt and other harmful material would have been washed away. And one other key lesson that we noted was also market segment and also location. The price of tilapia in Tamale is very high. The price of it is very high. So depending on the location that it is done, if it is located in place where the income levels of farmers are very low, then at the end of the day, this will not be a very viable business venture or a resilient strategy for the farmers. And lastly, it is also not suitable to be located in flood-prone areas, because once this is located in flood-prone areas, it also kind of causes a lot of mortality among the fingerlings and also the tilapia. So that is on the cage fish farming. The next climate resilience strategy that will also supported the farmer associations with have to do with livestock production. And as we've also seen in the video and also the 360 video that I think Paul had explained earlier on, have to do with interacting with the farmers at their community level and also ensuring that they having the capacity to effectively reallocate all farm resources in order to maximize their farm productivity. That is to say that integrating livestock production to their crop production so that the animal droppings from the livestock production are used to fertilize their crop production so that they can have increased yield. Because of climate change and also because of continual cultivation of the farmlands, most of the farmlands have lost its fertility. And because of that, it is unable to support the growth of plants unless they apply fertilizer or organic fertilizer. So with this livestock production and integrated farming system approach, where the farmers are encouraged and their capacity are built to really integrate these two livelihood options, that is livestock production and also crop production, so that the crop residues from the farms are used to feed the animals, and also the droppings from the animals are used to produce compost that is applied in the crop field in order to enhance the growth and also productivity of the crops that are cultivated. So in all, about 90 farmers and 9 farmer associations have been supported by the program to have this diversified income source that is engaging in livestock production and also sale of goat and sheep in order to build their resilience to climate change impacts in their communities. So these farmers, they started goat rearing in addition to their regular crop production to raise additional income to support their households in case their crop failed. So that is to say that usually one challenge that are confronting smallholder farmers in northern Ghana is that they concentrate so much and their main livelihood is rain-fed agriculture. So once that fails them, they don't have alternatives. Then that means the farmer and the household will not have any other alternative of supporting the household needs. But with this intervention of adding goat rearing to their crop production, they had the alternative of selling the animals in case their crops fail them at the end of the day. And as a program and organization, our monitoring visit revealed that these animals, in fact, are multiplying and the resilience of the farmers to the climate change impacts are also being strengthened. So these are pictures of goats that were distributed to communities. So we have the billy goat, and usually the billy goat is in the communal pen, crossing with the nanny goats, and also is also allowed to go out to in the community to cross with other goats in the community in order to improve the breeds in the community rather than just leaving the local breeds in the community. And in distributing the goat and also in supporting smallholder farmers with livestock production, one key point that we also consider so much was also gender perspective. And as I've indicated in my introduction, there is a huge disparity when it comes to gender as far as the impacts of climate change is concerned. The burden of climate change impact is more on women. And the reason is that most of their activities are in relation to the environment. At the household level, they are those responsible for fetching water. They are also those responsible for ensuring that the families are well taken care of, and so on and so forth. So therefore, they are the hardest hit when it comes to climate change extreme events at the community level. So in providing alternative and intervention at the community level, we skewed the benefits to more of women than men. That is to say, 60% of the beneficiaries are women and 40% are men. So in order to really bridge the gap as far as the impact of climate change are concerned. Again, also women in terms of access to climate information is also limited. And in Northern Ghana, women also have inadequate access to resources such as farmland, among others, that will enable them to also be able to improve their livelihood. And all these reasons were what the program considered in skewing the intervention to favor women in the intervention communities. So on monitoring revealed that, for instance, I'm just sharing 4 communities in the Karga district. In a community called Jama'a, the number of goals that were given to the community or to the beneficiaries were 8, and that was in the year 2020. So after 2 years, when the program team went back to the community, realized that the number of newborn or additions to the 8 were about 23, and they also recorded some bit of mortality, that is 3 of the animals died, and their total remaining stock was 28. So in effect, the 8 goals that were given to them had to multiply to 28. Similarly, in another community, that is Tanjala community, the same 8 goals also multiplied to 33. That is after a period of 2 years. By Shibu and Shellanye, that's the last 2 communities, the intervention was done in 2021. And after a year, the animals has increased to 16 and 11 respectively. So this indicates that livestock production is very lucrative and also is an intervention that can really support, improve the livelihood and resilience of smallholder farmers to the impact of climate change. And one other dimension that was also introduced to the smallholder farmers at the community level was for them to also look at this with a business mindset in addition to their crop production. In that, assuming a farmer is able, after a crop production processes, is able to acquire it good and is able to manage them for a period of 1 year or 2 years and is able to get 28, 33 after a period of 2 years, that alone, in fact, will be able to support the livelihood of the smallholder farmer household if their crop fails them due to climate change. So that aspect of changing the mindset of smallholder farmers to begin to look at, to use business mindset and looking at other alternatives like livestock production and sale at the community level was also emphasized. And monitoring visit also indicated, and also a survey that was conducted through CLOE, that is key lines of inquiries in the program, indicated that livestock production and crop integration have really increased the resilience of smallholder farmers in so many ways. One way is that there have been increase in the number of livestock, and this was affirmed by 79% of the smallholder farmers and farmer associations that we have worked with. About 71% of them also indicated that this has enabled them to have an increased income. And because of the Sahelian or the hybrid nature of the billy goat, this has also helped in changing the number of improved breeds in their community, because the Sahelian breed that is introduced is crossing with the local breeds, and that is actually improving the breed type in the community. And because of this, they are now getting a higher market value compared to local breeds. And once they are getting higher market value, it also means that this will subsequently lead to increase in income, and that will be used to support the household needs. So that is on livestock production. Another climate-related strategy that I would like to also touch on is dry season vegetable production. And I must indicate that irrigation for dry season vegetable production is one of the climate-resistant strategies that has proven to be very effective in supporting farmers to build resilience to the impact of climate change variability. So these farmers had their household food security threatened by low crop yield and the mortality of their livestock due to climate change impacts. And according to most or majority of the smallholder farmers at the community level, they indicated that due to the single season nature that is characterized in northern Ghana, they become idle and become wasteful once they are done with their rain-fed agriculture. So meaning in the dry season, they are idle and they have nothing to do. So with the introduction of dry season vegetable production, that also meaningfully engage them to do something during the dry season, and also an opportunity to increase their household income or to generate additional income to support their household needs. So on this slide, we have two pictures. The one to the left, we can see a woman carrying a pan or a saucepan, carrying water to water vegetables. So the Empowerment for Life program, that was a situation that we met at the community level. The women or the farmers, some of them had to travel about 100 meters, 150 meters to fetch water on their head and then bring it to their vegetables to water them. And because of that, they were not able to produce in large quantity as far as acreage is concerned. And the production level was also very low because usually they lose energy in having to travel this distance to fetch water, carry it on their head, and then to water the vegetables. So as a result, they were low yield when it comes to the vegetable production. Again, also, their forests were not fenced, and because of the animals usually go into their farm to eat the vegetables, also reducing the yield at the end of the day. And all these were not very good to the smallholder farmers, their daily activity. So because of that, the program then comes in to support them with pumps, so that with this pump, it will do away with the challenge of women having to carry water on their head and walk for about 100 to 150 meters to water their plants. So with the pump, they only need to on the pump and they have access to water to water their plants or vegetables. The program also supported them in fencing their vegetables to prevent animals from coming in to destroy their vegetables and also to reduce the yield. And because of the pump also, the farmers had the opportunity of increasing their farm size and also giving opportunity to other farmers who hitherto were not part of the cultivation process, an opportunity to now come in to also engage in an additional livelihood venture, that is cultivating vegetables during the dry season. So that is the two situations, what we met before the intervention and what is happening when we introduce the intervention. So through that, the farmers now they diversified their livelihoods, and as I indicated, water pump, fencing materials were provided and so on. So the livelihood of more than 150 farmers, of which majority are women, have improved through increased income from the sale of vegetables. So the benefits that accrue, as I've mentioned, is that there's now increased farm size. They are able to pump water to further farms. high vegetable yields, and vegetables are also protected against animals. And there's also improved soil fertility due to organic compost application. So that's also another climate adaptation strategy that the program is also training smallholder farmers on, using biodegradable materials together with animal droppings to produce organic compost that they can apply onto their farms to improve the fertility of the soil by way of improving the porosity and also it being able to retain water and also nutrients for the plants to use to grow in order to increase the productivity of the smallholder farmers. So these are just pictures of women harvesting their vegetables, and some also ready to go to the market to make some cash from the sale of the vegetables. The next I also want to talk on have to do with beekeeping. So that was also another area that was also where we supported the smallholder farmers or farmer associations in doing. So as we can see in the picture, we have beehives installed, and usually there are migrating bees that migrate usually from August to January to February. So during this period, these migrating bees found themselves in these beehives. When they find themselves in need, they colonize, they produce the combs, and at the end of the day, they produce the honey. And the honey is then harvested by these smallholder farmers, and they're able to sell to make income as an alternative option. Hey. Okay. Ayuba, can you mute? Okay. Yeah, so as we can see in the picture, so we have the beehives being installed, and also they were given some protective clothing that will facilitate the production of the bees or the honey. So in the picture, we can see them well dressed in order to prevent themselves from the danger of the bees. So in the next picture, that is after the bees colonize, and after a period of 6 months or 5 months, they produce honey in the beehives, and it will be time for harvesting. So that's also harvesting process that they are undertaking. They are harvesting the honey from the beehives, and after which they will extract the honey from the beehive, from the combs. So these are pictures of extraction of honey. So these honey are extracted, and what the program also introduced to the farmers is contemporary way of harvesting honey from the beehives. Instead of using fire, they are introduced to smokers, and with the help of the smokers, they are able to harvest the honey without really causing any harm to the bees and so on. And they are also introduced to a solar way of extracting the honey, and also the process of coming out with an organic honey, and which in fact is having a very high market value in the market or in Tamale and also in Northern Ghana. And most especially in Accra, if we're able to do a supply to Accra, then the market value there is also very high. Okay, so these are the few climate resilience strategies that the program with CLIP have demonstrated with the Farmer Association in order to introduce alternative livelihood options to them. And our monetary visit and also engagement with the farmers indicated that most or majority of these climate resilience strategies have been replicated by the farmers, most especially when it comes to the livestock production and sale, vegetable production. So these are the two main ones which in fact have proven very effective in enhancing the resilience of smallholder farmers to the impact of climate change. But aside this other demonstration, there are also a number of resilience strategies that were also introduced to the smallholder farmers, especially when it comes to crop production. One thing is that, as we have seen in the introduction, drought usually affects crops. So in relation to drought, what the farmers have been introduced to is improved seeds. That is by sowing drought-tolerant seed varieties and also early maturing seeds, so that before the drought even sets in, they are able to get their crops matured and the harvest without really feeling the impact of the drought. One other thing also have to do with flooding. So with the flooding, what most of the farmers are also doing is that they are shifting, they are moving away from cultivating in lowlands to highland areas, so that at least the impact of flooding will also reduce as far as the production of crops are concerned. And one other area have to do with good agriculture practices in terms of how fertilizers have been applied in the field, how seeds are being sowed, and so on and so forth. And also the practice of crop rotation, mixed farming, and so on and so forth. And all these are geared towards minimizing the impact of climate change on the livelihood of smallholder farmers at the community level. And on this note, I would like to say thank you so much to everyone for giving me the time and also the attention in presenting this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abdallah. Clement, do you have any supplementary comments to give on after this presentation?
Just to say that the farmers have also been taking through how to prepare organic manure. And so they also know how to use locally available materials to prepare the organic manure to help to get more yield from their farms. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentations. Inger first. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation, Abdallah. And you mentioned the improved seeds. So I'm wondering how accessible and affordable are they for the ordinary farmer?
Yeah. Let us, I think, Abdallah, you can come in now. Let us see how eager people are to ask questions. But for the moment, just go ahead and try to answer the question from Inger, if possible.
Okay. Yes, so I think that's a very good question. And from our experience, to some extent, it has been very challenging for the smallholder farmers to access improved seeds. So as a program, having this in mind, what we have done is that usually in the demonstration field that we use what you call foundation seeds. So these foundation seeds are what will give us certified seed or improved seeds. So in the demonstration field, once they use the foundation seed, at the end of the period when they harvest, then what they are harvesting are not grains, but then certified seed that they can send to their own farms to cultivate in order to improve their the yield of their crops. But again, also the central governments have also realized this challenge and they have implemented a number of interventions. One of such is the Planting for Food and Jobs, which comes in to subsidize the prices of these improved seeds so that smallholder farmers at the community level will have access to it. But upon all this, the challenge still remains that the prices of these improved seeds are a little bit higher than the normal seeds, and that is a disincentive to majority of the farmers in acquiring these improved seeds in doing their crop production. So that is a very big challenge, but we are finding a way of dealing with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Pia Sonnenborg, you unmute yourself.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for a very, very, very interesting introduction. I'm amazed at what you have managed to do so far. So, and I also have to admit that I'm a city girl. I'm no farmer at all. I'm trying my small plot here, but I'm not an expert, and that's why I'm trying to pass on a question which I was wondering during the introduction. It's amazing how much the dry season farming does to the families, and I could wish that any Ghanaian family could have access to this. But how is it with the problem of getting water? Is it only people who are living near a river or near a big water possibility to get water? What do they do, those who live far away from the possibility to get such a nice pipe putting water all over the green, what they are trying to get growing so much that they can sell it? How do you solve this problem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pia. Yeah, so I think that's also a big challenge that if we really want to improve the resilience of smallholder farmers, we need to really solve that. There are so many other options that we could exploit. But at the moment, because of limited funding, what we are doing is just working with smallholder farmers in communities that have access to these surface water resources, like rivers, streams, and also dams. And because of that, other farmers who equally need that opportunity are not able to get it because they don't have water resources. But aside these, like I indicated, there are also other options that we could exploit in order to get these other farmers in vulnerable communities would have access to surface water. One of such is that we could harvest water during the rainy season through the construction of water harvesting tanks, so that this water, excess water during the rain season, are harvested for use during the dry season. So that is one option that we could exploit. Another one also have to do with during irrigation through the use of hand-dug wells or riverbed wells or boreholes. And that also comes with more cost. That is in sinking borehole and also mechanizing that so that the water can be used for both domestic use and also for cultivation of crops during the dry season. So these are alternative options that could be exploited to get those who are not currently having water resources available at the community level to also be able to engage themselves in dry season vegetable cultivation. at their community. But like I indicated, funds are limited. And what we have experimented on in the Empowerment for Life program mainly have to do with the use of these surface water resources. But then under the Go Adapt project, that is the climate change adaptation modality project that is also being funded by CISO, we are now exploring the use of groundwater, that is by drilling boreholes that could support farmers without access to surface water resources to be able to also engage in dry season vegetable cultivation. So under that particular project, that is what we are preparing ourselves to do. Yeah, so the challenge is there, but then I think once we begin doing something on a smaller scale, then eventually we'll get to a higher scale where a lot of farmers will benefit from it and then have their income increase and also improving their resilience to the impact of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we are touching, of course, one of the main elements, how to replicate some of the best technologies here and practices. And I know that you will say that of course you can only cover small parts of your areas, geographical areas. But how do you look upon the chances to have these technologies replicated also with or without subsidizing from either government or NGOs? What is the likelihood that the best of these things can be replicated all over the area? But I guess that the farmers, they are ready if they have access to such of the technologies. Yeah, what do you say?
Yes, so I think one key aspect of the program have to do with replication and also sustainability of the various interventions that are being introduced to smallholder farmers at the community level. So in terms of, for instance, if you are looking at dry season vegetable production, so what we are doing is that we try to promote low-cost irrigation options. For instance, when it comes to the fencing, we have different options as far as fencing is concerned. We could use imported chain links to fence the field, but then that comes at a very high cost. So the alternative that we are having is that there are some chain links that are produced locally using local available materials, and they are also durable because the farmers can use it for 4 or 5 years without it having any challenge. So in most of the demonstration field, these are the sort of materials that are being used, so that with that, at that low cost, the low cost nature of it, farmers, after having seen the benefit associated with it, can be able to accumulate some resources to buy. Aside this, what we are also doing is that the support that comes with the intervention, by way of giving them water pumping machines, among others, the farmers are facilitated to develop what you call a sustainability plan, equipment maintenance and sustainability plan. That is to say, as they continue to use the pump to water their vegetables and they are generating additional income from that, part of the income are being saved in order to replace the pump in case it cannot be used again. So with that, the farmers will not have to rely on the program again or the organization for a new pump, but then they can easily buy, relying on the savings that they have done during the time of production. So what I'm trying to say is that for each of these interventions, we try to introduce a financial facility processes embedded in it, so that at the end of the day, it will be self-sustaining. Yeah. So, but one thing that have still proven to be very challenging have to do with the cage fish farming, which as part of the lessons I indicated that usually it also have to do with the location and the market segment. So if you have access to market and you can sell the tilapia at the market price, then the business will be, or the intervention will be sustainable. But if it is located in rural areas where the economic situations in that community and income levels are very low, then it becomes very difficult to get the right market price for the fish in order to sustain the intervention that is being done. And when it comes to the livestock production, because of the introduction of the improved breeds like the Sahelian or the hybrid, it comes to improve the breed type at the community by way of increasing the market value, and that in itself also help in the sustainability of that particular intervention. Yeah, so these are the various attempts that the program is doing in order to ensure that there is an element of sustainability and also replication as far as these various interventions are concerned. Thank you.
I think there's time for just maybe one more question, so please feel free.
Well, I was just thinking you were explaining, Abdallah, that the farmers, they used to be more or less subsistence farmers, just producing for themselves, but now they are not only having to produce more different things, but also actually to access the market and sell them. So they need whole new skills, and they need to sometimes also get on board a supply chain. And I was thinking with the honey, how have you worked with that? Because that must be also an extra complication and a challenge for the farmers.
Yes, in fact, I totally agree with you. It's a very big challenge for the farmers. But again, also as part of the program, we are doing a number of things in order to really improve their capacity in those areas. One thing is that we have worked on since 2019 is the business development model that we're able to develop with Morten, a business consultant in Denmark, Morten Wagner, so that these farmer associations and groups that are having viable business ventures as far as crop production is concerned will go through this incubator process, of which capacity on market identification and also branding and marketing, financial records keeping, among others, are embedded in this incubator program. So, but this is only limited to farmer group and associations that have viable businesses. So along the way, and also interacting with the smallholder farmer, we realize that, in fact, the challenge is deeper than what we had imagined. So because of that, last year in June, Ghana Venskab supported us to go to Tanzania to understudy a model that is being implemented by ADRA Tanzania, ADRA Denmark, and that is the farmer market schools. So we're able to understudy that particular concept, and that is what we are preparing to build the capacity of the smallholder farmers on going to the next phase, that is the Empowerment for Life phase 5. So with that particular concept, it is that before farmers even think about production, they have to first of all establish the market. They have to know who their suppliers or their customers are, how the customer need their products to be like, and so on and so forth before they go ahead to do production. So that FMS or Farmer Market School is what we are now planning to use in order to bridge the challenge that is associated with farmers having to access market and also being able to get ready market for their produce in the market. And what also happens is that the farmers spend most of their time in doing crop production, but they benefit little from the crops or from the grains that they harvest from the crops. That is to say, farm aggregators or middlemen or women usually go to these farmers at the farm gate and they're able to buy these produce at a very cheaper or lower price levels and then send it to the market to sell at a higher price. So they are those reaping of the benefits or the sweat of these smallholder farmers at the community level. But with this new approach and strategy of the farmer market schools, we are hoping that once they are introduced to it, then they will also have adequate knowledge about the market. They will be able to identify buyers for their produce and then proceeding to produce to meet the requirements and also the qualities and standards of their customers. So that is what we are preparing ourselves to engage in the next phase. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it is very well timed that we are now somehow with your contributions looking a little bit in the future, knowing that our program is shifting a phase and there will be new opportunities and new learnings to be made. And this was a very enlightening moment for, I think, all of us. So thank you very much for your contribution, and those of you who are around in the meeting room today, thank you for your questions and your patience. I hope you enjoyed what came out of it. It has been video recorded, so let us see whether we can spread some of the information we got here and the discussion we got here among others who might find it useful. So thank you, all of you, to be here. Thank you to representatives from Ghana. I see some clapping.